I'm here to show you how to fix yourself. And not that you're broken. Hopefully nobody is 60 years old sitting in a boardroom in a diaper complaining on the floor and screaming, "Where's my mommy?" Right? This is what I call the IKEA moment. The beauty of IKEA is that they give you little plastic bags with all the stuff you need, but epigenetically, that shape in the sky means run.
Wow.
I love about you is that you're always interested in how people are changing and transitioning in the face of. Good morning and welcome. So today we're going to be talking with Sabine Roden. She's the founder of Becoming You, where she helps everyday change makers reconnect to their full genius and live from a deeper alignment, flow, and wholeness. With her signature process to effectively update mindsets and beliefs, Sabine guides people in releasing resistance and aligning mind, body, and soul and stepping into their most empowered, fulfilled lives. You can learn more about her at becomingyou.life, and we'll put the links down below to all of her information so you can find all her socials and all the cool links. Great. So let's get started. Hi, Sabine. How's it going today?
Hey, Jonathan. Really, really good. And for those people who are coming in through behind me and through me, can you give just a little bit of who's Jonathan?
Sure. Well, I'm Jonathan Logan. I'm the founder of Life Success Tools and also the creator of StopSmokingForever.life, which is where I'm helping people who have chronic smoking addiction and really want to quit nicotine to finally and get rid of it forever. So it's a cool program. Check it out, StopSmokingForever.life. Again, the links will be down below.
Yeah.
So we're doing this podcast because we like to talk to each other and have fun. And we thought, well, why not share that with the world? So, and I'm always intrigued by what you have to say and the things that you bring to the table. So I'm delighted to hang out with you today.
Thank you. Yeah, it's going to be a good conversation for sure.
It is. It is. So one of the things that I love about you is that you're always interested in how people are changing and transitioning in the face of external changes and transitions in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
maybe a little quick story about how you got into that and why that's so important to you.
So I would say the story in two different ways. The shortest story is I have always enjoyed cleaning out from under the rug. That's just who I am. And I know not a lot of people are necessarily like that, but I really like, everybody has their little thing. That's mine. I love figuring out about myself, and I always have. There was a really big turning event, though, when COVID hit, where there were some buried memories that I had that came up during that time of isolation. And my whole world shifted. I changed careers, although in many ways I took all of the consulting and training skills that I knew and I pivoted and was now, as I am, working directly with people to make massive internal changes. So instead of company changes, training changes, you know that story, person's picking up a starfish and throwing one back in. And somebody says, well, why would you do that? It's just one. It's just one. Oh, but Jonathan, you help the one and you see the ripple.
Yep.
So that's where internally I just gravitate towards change, and it makes me feel good. There's a little dopamine hit that I get.
Yeah.
And what's beautiful is now taking what just is natural to me and paving, guiding, allowing an easier path for others who want to do that internal change as well. Some of the really easy processes I have that, like you, and I know some of your processes, change doesn't have to be hard, right? It can be drama free. You don't have to relive the stuff from the past.
Right.
We have so many ways. You do, I do, others do. This is an amazing, I feel like this is an amazing time to be on this earth. As much as there's a whole bunch of things breaking down, which you do such a good job. By the way, call out for Jonathan right now. If any of you haven't been watching his Success Tools videos on YouTube and all the places that you can find Jonathan, this is one of the places where Jonathan is one of the places where I get my, here's what's really going on in the world these days.
Mm.
So, well, as everything is crumbling and you're explaining to all of us what that looks like and what the bigger picture is, and thank you for that. Also, what I'm noticing is alongside of that is this, let's get rid of all the crud that we've been carrying for generations and generations.
Yeah.
Let's, instead of focusing on the heavy and what's not working,
Mm.
what are some of the technological advances and internal advances that allow us to create what we want? You and I have had some amazing conversations about how you have chosen who you want to be, and
Mhm.
how I've chosen who I want to
Mhm.
be. And in many ways, it can be that easy. So my journey with change has been fantastic. And I'm so excited for our conversation today to dive into where
Yeah.
we have lots of synergy.
Absolutely, absolutely. I was struck early on by Joseph Campbell and the hero's journey, because the concept of every single person is going through a cycle, an upward spiral of transformation and growth through their whole life, starting from when they're just little baby kids, right? We all grow from, hopefully nobody is 60 years old sitting in a boardroom in a diaper complaining on the floor and screaming, "Where's my mommy?" Right? So we've all grown, hopefully, and learned. And the cool thing is that there's a path and a process. And as you said so eloquently, it doesn't require you going back to the past and digging up just tons of stuff. And, it's sort of like the reason why we throw the garbage out, it goes to the dump and there it composts, right? We don't go digging around the compost to find out what we threw out 10 years ago, right? No, we don't need to do that. So what I love is the idea of the fact that you are a guide for people. And in every hero's journey, the real key is that the hero and heroine get to a point where they get slightly blocked in some way. And the proof is that their life isn't where they want it. They can feel it internally. And so getting a guide, someone who can help you figure that out, reconnect, reorient, and reemerge as a new version of you in becoming the fully you, that guide work is incredible. I'm wondering if you want to share a couple of nuggets about that, because it's so important to people.
I remember before I had my big pivot, I remember a few people, I mean, clearly as I look back, probably some other people could see what was coming for me, but I had no clue. None. And so I remember people saying things that felt big, but I didn't understand them. And so one of the things that is beautiful with having a guide is the ability for someone to see the things that you can't see. Now, I'm going to be the first one, as one of those guides out there, to say, if you're not ready to hear or see something, it's not the guide's. And I don't believe a good guide will turn around and say, well, let me tell you all about yourself and what you can't see. Because I had that in my life. I had some people trying to tell me, here's who you are and here's what you need to do. And all I did was, speaking of that, perhaps, grandma in diapers in the boardroom, I had my 8-year-old fist coming out to say, oh, no, you don't.
Oh, they don't.
However, the reality was years later, those things that I was told were in fact true, but I wasn't ready to hear them. So instead of a guide who can help to walk alongside and to help to reframe not only maybe what came before, but also what's coming up in order to have a larger perspective, you know, that's what I needed. I didn't need somebody to tell me, because that just made me defensive. And actually, now, did it slow down the process? Maybe, because I had this internal, 8-year-old coming up fighting for me going, don't you tell me what to do.
Yeah.
And so that was actually a really good path for me, though, to follow, because now being in the guide position, I do not want to do that with anybody else. I want to be alongside. I want to help to reframe things. But if somebody doesn't accept or believe something that I'm getting intuitively, something that I'm presenting as another perspective, it has nothing to do with me. It's not personal. It's exactly where they are. And I want to meet them where they are to help them make the next step. I also see some guides talking about, well, this is what you're going to do 5, 10 years, 50 years down the road. This is what you're here for. And again, the person, even good things, the person can't always hear it. I was told 2 years ago that I was going to write a book. No, that
No.
doesn't even make sense.
No.
Yeah, 2, 3 weeks ago now, I started writing a book, and my mind is blown with how it's coming out.
Nice.
So we need, as guides, my choice is to be a guide that walks alongside, that makes it easier, because I walked without a guide, having a lot of the start of my pivot in COVID, and just the personal situation I was in at the time, where I was located. It just it gave me a lot of good tools, I think, to be a guide, like you said, as you described what I do, that helps someone find their own wholeness, that brings their internal team of experts and genius that come from their history and all of the experiences that they've gone through, all of that genius that they have, bringing all of that together, so the person ultimately doesn't need me, because everything that they need is inside. They regain that trust. They understand how the body is helping them, not hindering them, how it's a partner, not a partner in crime. And that's, again, to me, where we are right now, is we have so much ability to create what we want.
Yeah.
And a guide can just, a good guide, just like a good therapist, just like a good manager, just makes it easier. It doesn't take away your own challenges, but it can help you move through those challenges faster.
Yes.
Sometimes even do big leaps in the shifts that you can do. I know you do that in your work too, Jonathan. Instead of people going and making changes with baby steps, they can make a huge change.
Huge change.
In perhaps, one session, one shift can be a massive shift.
Yeah.
Guides are, you don't have to have a guide. You don't, but it can speed up the process that you're going to go through anyways.
Yes.
So why not? That's what I say now. Why not? If I can find a coach, and I love the coaches that I work with, so that I work with being the receiver.
Right.
Because others can see things that I can't see, even with all of my intuition, and I still see a bigger, but my slice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
How is that when you are doing your work, Jonathan, and you're guiding, and I know you've got your hypnosis, and is there anything different in how you are approaching being a guide for people?
I don't think so. Mostly because I do a combination of things: coaching, hypnosis, NLP, different modalities and methodologies and stuff. And I think what I find is the person first when they come to you, like I had a guy come to me once and said, fix me. I'm like, oh, okay, what's wrong with you? It's like, well, I'm smoking and I want to quit. And I'm like, great, here's how the program works. Here's all the modalities. He goes, I don't want to do that. I just want you to make me stop smoking. I'm like, oh God. I told him, I said, you know what? I'm going to refer you to someone else because I'm not here to fix you. I'm here to show you how to fix yourself. And not that you're broken. It's just that I'm going to show you where the light switch is in the room because you're in a dark room and you're bumping into furniture and you don't know where you are. And I'm like, I'm going to say first, let's find a wall. If we can find a wall in the darkness, find something to push up against, something that's bugging you. Okay, great. And there along that wall, there'll be a doorway. Open the doorway. If it's still dark in the next room, look here because there'll be a light switch. And you turn the light on. Now you can look around the room and go, okay, now I'm illuminating from the inside what's going on inside me. If I'm willing to look at that, I can open the door and look for the next thing and the next thing and the next thing if that's what I want to do. Or you can stay in the dark and stumble around. There's nothing wrong with people doing that. Some people, there's a lot of theories about lifetimes or, karma and all this kinds of stuff. Some people want to stay stuck because it's so familiar and it's so certain and they're so desperately afraid of the uncertain and the unfamiliar. So change is what they fear most. Well, if you fear change, getting a guide might not be helpful because they're going to help you find internally that light switch and that doorway so you can move to the next place in your life.
Can I add something to that real quick, Jonathan?
Yes.
I love that analogy of the guide, helping to find and I actually love that you started with the wall.
Right.
Yeah. Like
it's the thing you can push up.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. And at the end of the day, we can find a wall. We can point out the door. We can help point out the light switch, but we can't we can't push them through the door. We can't get them to touch the wall. We can't get them to flip on the light if they don't want to. And I 100% agree with you. 110% agree with you. If they don't want to go through, then that's where they are. And that's perfect.
Yes.
Because what I've seen is even if it's possible to help somebody go through a door, but they don't do it themselves, they're in that next room and they don't understand how to get through that next door. So it really doesn't help someone to feed them everything.
Right. Right.
Because whatever they needed to learn in order to walk through the door or whatever tool they need it. So I love how you described that. Thank you. That's fun.
Yeah. Yeah, you bet. I think it's part of what's going on in the world today is that we've made so many changes as human species in the past 150, 200 years. Radical transformation. I mean, just light switch alone is a new idea in the past 158 years, right? So we know that's true. And I think part of what happens is that the basic training of here's math and here's your language English and here's some other things and here's a light switch. We get those early on. But beyond that, the whole concept is if I'm going to grow, that's a whole new concept. Most people don't think they're ever going to change or grow. Even though they get a driver's license, they may rent a house or an apartment, or they may get a job. Those are all different things from when they were 12, hopefully. And so they're going to grow. They just don't know that they're growing and they don't understand the process. So understanding that stage growth process can help you because you can anticipate, well, how do I know when I'm in this state? Well, I have a feeling. Well, what kind of feelings might I have in this state? Well, typically people who are in conflict have feelings of frustration and anger, right? Or they sublimate it or something. So we can begin, once we know the feeling map, then we can have the action map to go behind it. I'm sure feelings come up a lot in your work with people.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, unfortunately, you brought up education. We're not taught in education what are my emotions telling me. I mean, in my world, my emotions help me understand the world around me. You brought up, anger and frustration. I'm going to get angry when a boundary has been crossed, or I don't have a boundary, but I need one. My anger is going to help me with that, right?
Right.
But we're not taught that. So instead, we end up using anger in ways that we're taught, which is not most of the time healthy. I'm thinking of what I was taught, anger was the way to because I'm hurting, I'm gonna push down somebody else. I'm gonna use that energy instead of to give myself space. I'm gonna use that energy to actually try to put somebody else down. And that's not what it's for. It doesn't help the person whose anger is coming up. So yeah, absolutely. Emotions are so critical. And that's one of the things that I see, Jonathan, when I think of humanity and its evolution. Emotions are one of the things that make humans special, I
Right.
believe.
Yes.
Like this is also part of, if people believe in the evolution of animals, emotions are part of that evolution. And so to me, I don't even want to say it like that.
Okay.
It's not just to me. Emotions, therefore, are gifts,
Yes.
gifts of evolution. And we have not, I mean, some of us know how to listen to them and how to work with them, and therefore help others listen to their own emotions so that that can be one of the internal tools that a person has within their life to say, do I want to change here now? Yes, because I can feel it. There's an emotion coming up that's telling me
Right.
something.
Something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, I know you are amazing with that big picture. When you think of evolution, human evolution, emotions, where we go with our guides, or
Hmm.
on our, what would you add to that? I'm all excited to hear because
Um,
I'm sure there'd be just, yeah, what's a big nugget that you would add to that?
I think you hit the nail on the head. The emotions are this wonderful internal guidance system. The question is knowing how to listen to them, right? It's sort of like internal Morse code. If you know the code and you understand the code, you know what to do. What is this emotion telling me? What is this emotion guiding me? Where is this coming from? Is this I'm reacting to something, or is it I'm self-generating and remembering something from the past, and I'm triggering the whole Christmas tree lights of all the past experiences together, right? Earlier similar events, all the same. It looks the same. Oh gosh, it's the same. Or is it, right? I mean, we operate on pattern recognition, and one of the challenges of emotions is false pattern recognition in emotions. So we get a trigger about something, and it might be completely different from the last time we got triggered and felt the same emotion. So we don't know how to typically work with that until we've experienced the process of looking at it and examining it and going back and forth through it. So when you can say, I'm having this emotion, why am I having this emotion? What's happening around me? First of all, the first thing is, if it's a big emotion, if it's a tiny little one, it's like, I'm having a feeling. I wonder what that is. That's cool. But if you're having one where it's like you're sweating and you're overwhelming and you're trembling, it's like, okay, we got to calm the nervous system down. Get your vagus nerve back online, get you back from fight or flight into rest, relax, and restore, and do that. Because we can do that, then we put you back in the frontal cortex instead of back here. The emotions are the alarm bell. The question is, do we sit in the firehouse with the engine on and suffocate, or do we get out the door and go deal with the fire, right? Because too often people stay in it and percolate in their own negative emotion, and that just self-feedback loops into worse and worse conditions.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Do you ever run across this? I notice a lot in my work that when people have really big emotions, those really big ones, um, and it's beautiful if that corresponds to us having a coaching session within a few days, because then that's front and center for them. They can feel it. What I tend to notice a lot of times are what comes up for people when it's really big. And I ask them, you know, tell me in your life, where has this connected to? And they can't actually find a source. I find that a lot of times. And frequently what comes up in my work, and maybe that's why these people are coming to me, because this is a connection that I've felt. And so therefore I think of, so one of the things that I work with is not only those parts that come up on the inside and bringing them to the table, but again, whether people believe in past lives or future lives, I don't, that doesn't matter to me. But there are things that come up that don't have any basis in this lifetime. And so when I say something to understand, to feel into resonance, is this from an ancestor? And if their body and my body, for no understand no reason, both go, yes,
Right.
then then it then we're just going to follow that, and we're going to add that into the mix. And so that's something that I've noticed, is when it's really big and that swirl is happening, it can be because it's actually coming from an ancestor, possibly another lifetime, but frequently an ancestor that, just like they get their hair color and their eye color,
Yeah.
epigenetics, it's gone
Yep.
through.
Exactly.
And so this is the story that I use. It's gone through. You're holding on to something that great Uncle Jimmy couldn't figure out. And so it got passed on. We can deal with it. We can let that go, because you can't figure out Uncle Jimmy's thing because you're not Uncle Jimmy. But you can let go of it. You can now choose to let go of it. And what I believe, what resonates when I do muscle testing, is that goes back to Uncle Jimmy, or it just goes back. And then you're left with, what's mine? What are my emotions?
Right.
And usually that de-escalates those emotions a lot,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and then allows for, so what was my source that was already stepping on top of Uncle Jimmy's, and how can I just release that, because it was never mine. It was just mine to choose to let go of.
That's right. That's right.
Do you ever work with some of that?
Yeah. Some of that stuff. Yeah. And it's fascinating because, first of all, you're 100% right. There's a huge amount of epigenetic stuff going on, right? I mean, they know, they've done testing where they can take a mother mouse who's pregnant with her pups, and they can give this flash of almond scent, deep almond scent, and then electrical shock. And for 6 generations, the pups will still fear almond smell. Right? But that's a survival technique, how to incorporate something of deep, resonance that's painful or hurtful or frightening or whatever, and into an epigenetic sort of a bunker that later gets triggered, right? So you're like, oh, I know what to do, right? So they also know in chickens, those big chicken farms where they have them inside during the winter, and they can run a cutout of a pigeon across the top on a wire, and the chickens just look and go back to eating. But if they do a cutout of a hawk, the chickens scatter. Now, they've never seen a hawk. They've been in this hen house since they were born. But epigenetically, that shape in the sky means run.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
Right. So we have these things embedded in us. So these triggers, like from Uncle Jimmy, damn Uncle Jimmy, come on, buddy, deal with your stuff so I don't have to. But no, it's like Uncle Jimmy had no idea, right? Back in the day.
We didn't have the tools we have.
Yeah, so they're like little bunkers or little cans or little boxes of emotive responsives under similar like conditions. Now, it might not be a hawk, could be an eagle, or it could be a falcon, or it could be a buzzard, right? Because they're very similar shaped. But genetically, it's like run. And so when we get that suddenly coming out from somewhere, it's like, what is it? The other thing it can be is sometimes we know from hypnosis and regression that the child who is 6 when they have this traumatic event, or there's an event and they experience it traumatically, they're not always the same, that the child only uses their level of thinking at the time to make sense of it, puts it in a box because it's overwhelming, and stores it in the background. And then in the future, when something similar happens, or when the subconscious mind says, this is safe enough to handle now, let's open the box. And they don't know why it's coming up. And it could be 2 things. It could be the epigenetic Uncle Jimmy stuff hit them when they were 6 with an overwhelming event. And now they got both those things in 2 side-by-side boxes that are welded together. And when one opens, like Jack in the Box, the other one pops open too. And they're like, wow, what's going on, right? So there's ways to deal with it. The key, again, is getting back to feeling. Is that it's almost like the, what's her name? She has the 4 questions.
Byron, Katie Byron.
Thank you. Yeah. So it's like,
what's the truth?
What's the truth? Is this mine? Is it really mine? And a lot of trauma that people carry in those little boxes from when they were children, it wasn't theirs. Mom and dad were having a fight, or big brother or big sister had a fight, or the teacher was drunk that day because they used to be, right? Or the teacher was abusive, or said something just mean because the teacher had a fight with their spouse, before. So we don't know where it comes from, but we know when we find them, if we walk through them and work through them, they pretty much just dissolve. And so, I mean, that's the work you're doing with people too, is they come to you because they may not even know why they need to come to you, but they have an internal feeling like, God, I like what she said when I saw that video, and I really want to talk to her because I'm having some of those kinds of feelings. Okay. It can start just that simple. And let me add one tail end piece is I have almost universally found that when people have resisted change, they feel the feeling, they walk away. They feel the feeling, they walk away. They go back to the light. At some point, maybe there's something pushing them from behind that pushes them into the feeling, and they deal with it. Almost always they go, God, I wish I had done this 5 years ago. This isn't as terrible and big and horrible as I thought it was. That was my 5-year-old who had the experience, and I now can go back and tell the 5-year-old, you're okay. You're going to be fine. We dealt with it.
Because we have so many more tools now that you at 5, me, you didn't have. Of course, this was big and scary and didn't make sense because we can feel our emotions as a child, but we don't have all the mental faculty to make sense of it. And right, if the adults around us, not for any fault of their own, if they didn't understand what we perceived in the moment, or if they themselves didn't have tools to help us in the moment, then we're left, just like you said, with this, I'm going to make up a story that is at my 3-year-old level or 5-year-old level, where, of course, at that point, everything must be my fault because I am the center of the world. And then we hold on to that for decades. Yeah, there's, you had said something about emotions earlier, Jonathan, and it makes me think of it right now, that idea of our emotions have been trying to tell us some things for so long that they're screaming so loud and they've become so distorted because we never listened to them. And so you're right. I do feel like when it comes to understanding emotions, finding, you brought up Byron Katie talking about the truth. I've used those tools at one point in time and kind of incorporated them. Carla McLaren also talks a lot about emotions and what messages they have, what you can do with those messages, different practices you can do. That's been a wealth of information for me at different points. So whether you go to a book source or you go to a person who understands emotions, who's just further along that path than you, so that you can recognize the difference between, are these my emotions? If they're not, what can I do to just let them go because they're not mine? And if they are mine, how can I start either going back to the first time I remember it, or maybe there's something even buried underneath of that, but getting to the point where those emotions can be partners in life because you now understand them and you work with them instead of continuing to put the brakes on them, not listen. And just like any toddler, I think all of us have known toddlers that if you ignore them, they have a tirade because they also want to be a part. And as far as our emotions are concerned, they're trying to tell us something for ourselves. So it's in our best interest. But there is that, how do you overcome that state of the emotions being so elevated because they weren't listened to for so long?
Right. Yeah.
Different things. Do you have additional? So I mentioned a couple books that would be super useful for people or different people who understand emotions.
I read a book a long time ago. I'm trying to remember the title. It was something like Emotions Buried Alive, Never Die, Never Go Away, something like that. And it's about surprise. It's sort of like, trying to hold the beach ball underwater. And that's one issue. Then you have another beach ball. And like, how many beach balls can you hold underwater? When you let go, they burst up. visualization I use to a lot of people is like, imagine a dam, right? So the water builds up behind the dam, the emotion's unresolved. If we open the sluice gate and allow the water through, that's when we have a healthy emotional process. It's natural for emotions to come, and then we let them out. They come and we regulate and let them out. But if they build up, one of two things happens. Either the dam breaks and life traumatic happens, right? So like sometimes our subconscious will create the problem to help us process it because we can't process it otherwise. The second thing is we flood over, and now we have no backup. We have no place for extra emotions to come up. It's just constant flooded emotions. And that's where people get overwhelmed, and then they find coping mechanisms. And next thing you know, they're smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day. But it's like,
for some people, it
right,
is. It
right.
is. They don't know how to. They just weren't ever taught. In fact, we're taught the tools to suppress, which you bring up a dam, I reference a volcano, but the exact same thing.
Right. And there's another piece to this, which is that when we learn that, when we go through the process of dealing with the emotions and we learn, well, that wasn't so bad. It didn't hurt. It's like going to the dentist, 2 days later, like, it feels pretty good. Fine. Right. So we go over that hump of that discomfort, which is supposed to happen. Right? It's a birthing, it's a releasing of that. The second thing is that if we realize that there's tools for how to regulate the level of that emotion. So emotion is, the louder the emotion, the more present the emotion, the bigger the emotion, the more likely it is it was a bigger beach ball we were holding underwater, right? And it's also natural, let me just do a little parenthetical here. It's also natural to see something, like something else in the world where there's horrible tragedies, or hear about a plane crash or some terrible thing. It's natural to have big emotions, and you want those to flow through. And if you need to cry, you cry. If you want to scream, you scream. If you need to go for a run and exhaust your body so that your emotions, that's fine too. And there are tools. So one of the things we do, we teach the somatic tools in our course, and there's a half a dozen that are super powerful that allow you to just really release the emotion very quickly in terms of the energy of it, so you can deal with the process of it. Because if it's too big, it's like if I've got something that weighs 100 pounds or 200 pounds and it's the size of a couch, I can't manage that myself. It's too big and too bulky. But if I can get it down to something this size and it weighs 25 pounds, now I can work with it, right? I can work with that much clay because it's manageable. So self-regulation tools allow us to bring the temperature down, the energy level down, so that we can then be present in the front of the brain to deal with it consciously, what's going on, instead of the subconscious mind running us and making us flee like chickens when the hawk comes flying by.
Yeah. And we do want our emotions, just if they're flooded at that, using the dam analogy works so well with the idea of flooding. When you're flooding, you just can't listen to the message. But we also don't want to just have a dam that does have any flow going through it, because those emotions are there. It's part of our beautiful gifted evolution. So I love some of the tools that you're bringing up too. Thank you.
Yeah, and what I would say is that when the water's flowing through, it's turning a hydroelectric thing, so it's giving us energy in life, right? Emotions are the energy of life. Someone who is emotionless and just flat, has no energy, they're not really very alive. They're not really enjoying the spice and joy of life, because they're not able to get to those emotions and allow them to surface. They're holding that beach ball down on that as well. It raises another issue, which is that I think, let me just say it meta, and then I'll drill down real fast. So the expression of how the outward world is going right now is a combination of how all of us internally, collectively are feeling. It's the expression of all of us together in the outside world. And to the extent we change what's internal and we go out and literally clean up the world, like I made this on a video today, I said, like, go do 3 things. Let someone else in traffic, buy somebody a coffee if you can, or go pick up trash, or all 3. Whatever you can do. Just make a difference in the world this week a couple of times and see how it feels. Notice how you feel, and notice how the world feels better when you do that. Because part of what's happening is, in the world, we're reverberating with the world. We get negative energy. We can only hold so much. We're reverberating it back out. We're stressful. We don't let people in traffic. We're a little edgier, this kind of thing. It's just natural because we have feelings, and that's how we respond to something's wrong in the world, right? This is our little internal alarm system. But if it's an echo chamber, it just keeps reverberating and getting louder and louder. It's like, 1 ping pong ball we can play with. 1,000 ping pong balls, it's snowing ping pong balls, right? And so that's what's happening with people. They're overwhelmed in the external world. So my theory of this is, I self-regulate. I do things to calm my stuff down. I was going to use a different word, but just to calm myself down. I go to the gym, I work out, I do self-regulation, I take time to meditate, I go for walks, I just stop and think, I watch funny cat videos, I do these things to kind of just let it all out and then reorganize myself and come back into the world fully as present as I can be and with as much positive energy as possible. And that's something I think that would be very good for all of us. And just knowing the process, knowing that what I'm doing is I'm dramatizing the feeling. I'm expressing the subconscious feeling by not letting someone in traffic or by being a little edgy or whatever. That's my expression of something that's a little external signal of an internal feeling. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. Yeah, yeah. I was just thinking as you were explaining what you do, I was thinking also through, so what do I do? How is it a little different perhaps? And what I tend to do is a little bit different. So I'll share what I do as well, because your way, people will pick and choose little bits and be like, oh, that's a new piece, or oh, when Jonathan said that or Sabine said that. It's a great way to just share what we know, and other people can pick and take, uh, like a buffet, what they like. So one thing that I just tend to be really good at is when the emotions come up, I tend to see or feel into, so who's coming up? And
Mm,
for me, it works really
mm,
well
mm,
to, I'm going to say maybe personalize it. So, uh, and it usually relates to a year. Usually it might be a moment in my life, but usually it relates to a year. Um, and so if I have, for example, a big sadness, just all of a sudden, um, and I would maybe say, oh my, like this is grief. I first try to label what is the actual emotion so that I better understand the nuance of its message. But then I'll say, if there's no grief around me, so whose grief is this?
wow.
Is this mine? Is this an ancestor's, or, is it beyond me? In which case I can choose to let it go. But if it's mine, I'm going to, in my mind's eye, have a conversation with that part of me, which I'll see, and I'll see that part of me, maybe acting out, feeling that emotion. And so, what I will do is I will either quickly, if it's something that is able to do, if that is what resonates, I'll have a conversation in my head. I see you. Hey there. If it's young, you can't talk to an adolescent that way. So if it's an adolescent age, the conversation sounds very different.
Very different.
If it were, a young version of me, like a 3-year-old, I would speak to it like that. Hi,
Mm,
I see you. Can I sit down? And whatever they say is perfect. No, I can't. Okay, can I sit down over here? Great. Uh-huh. Do you mind if I just watch? Can I ask you a question? What? I see that you're sad. Why are you sad? And I'll go through a conversation. And what I've learned for myself is, as I do this more and more, the parts within me are gaining more and more trust.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
so they are more and more not needing to hide and coming up randomly, seemingly randomly, not randomly for themselves. But I do sometimes still have new parts come up. And what I do is I'll have a conversation around what what is coming up for them. And if what I've learned is, if I, or when I have built in enough trust, which could be immediate or might take a couple of times in my mind, and they feel good and they share what they want, need, how they need to be heard or seen, then that emotion I can hear the message of their emotion for themselves. I can help them with what
Mm,
they are trying to process. That emotion can let go through them, which is also through me. and it can all process, but then that source point also feels heard and healed. And that's one of the things that I have a I don't always, that's not something I can lead with my clients, but it almost always comes up that the reason why they can't create what they want, or they have things coming up that are blocking them,
Mhm.
is because there are these internal parts that need to be seen, heard, understood. And when they are, then they come up and they're now part of the conversation all the time, and they help out instead of blocking because they have the resolution that they needed way back when and they didn't have those tools for. So that's just another way of taking the emotions, and for me, I have those internal conversations around them, or I assist my clients in having those conversations so that they can, that part of them can release the pain.
Yes.
Uh, and then I use my quick recode process. You have your really quick, amazing NLP and all your hypnosis, your quick processes. My recode process is something where I bring together that team for the
Right.
person,
Yeah.
the perfect process to resolve, not resolve the issue, but actually to align with this healing state that they want, or what they want to create, or who they want to be, or um, and it just goes so quickly when
Yes.
all of the parts are all on board.
On the
Then
same team.
everybody, oh, yeah, your team. It's like the superhero team where they all come together and they can tackle everything, or all the board of directors are all aiming in the same direction. Like all kids are playing on the same team for the sport. A magic, what seems like magic can happen because it's you just bring everybody together. So another way to tackle that, or tackle, I don't like the word tackle because I want to bring the team together.
Embrace.
Means there's nothing wrong. It's you all are amazing. All your parts are amazing, and let's honor them and bring them forward. So another idea.
Absolutely. And I love that. I just love that. And I particularly, the first thing you said was I named the emotion. And the reason why that's so powerful is because otherwise it's just all this stuff going around. It's like, okay, that's a tornado or it's flood. It's a flood, but naming the feeling is really important because there's something that naming a feeling does that takes it again from the subconscious mind into the front of the mind and creates distance, subject object distance between it, right? Who are you pissed off at? Well, why are you pissed off with them? Well, what did they do? It's like you can begin to ask. I love that. That's beautiful. And so that sounds like a larger piece for people when you have a whole chorus or a whole team of people. Have you ever seen little kids play soccer?
A little bit. Tell me
They
more.
all of them go for the ball at the same time. So it's like it looks more like a rugby scrum than a soccer game. They're not passing the ball as a team. They're like, I gotta get the ball, right? And so when people first encounter, any personal development, something like that, they oftentimes are, I gotta get the ball, right? They're finally leaning in, and it's like someone has, they've broken through and now they're in the game and they're playing, they're off the bench in their own life and everybody's around the ball. And they realize they've got all these different parts around them, these different, we call it parts therapy in psychology, you'd call it team members or whatever. And it's like, so we're all going for it. And that's cool. It's just, you might need a coach to help you figure out, okay, you're really good at being a goalie. Oh, you're awesome as a forward. Oh, you're a fantastic fullback. So to help the team get in alignment.
Exactly. And it is so amazing, Jonathan, when that happens, because a client that I've been working with lately, one of the things that has come up for her, we started with who's her team, who's her internal team, and they have such brilliance. These parts that have come forward that are part of her that are like, I I want to come out and here's my gift, and here's my gift, and here's my gift. And she feels all those gifts that are
Right.
hers.
Right.
And I can see in her eyes the, I wanted to be this new person, and all these parts that are in me, all these parts that are me,
Right. Yes.
have all the pieces I'm looking for. It just feels so good to, again, that's bringing somebody back to themselves. That's
Mm-hmm.
where we started our conversation, is that idea of wholeness and the tools that people use. And some of that is it's you've got so much on the inside, and helping people see what they have.
I like what you just said. That's really, and it really inspires me the following. You are already whole. You may not just be in alignment. There's nothing broken. There's nothing horrible and bad. It's all just, we need to just get the team in alignment. And when you get them in alignment, it's sort of like a bunch of lenses. If you shine a light this way and the lenses are all scattered, they're not really in alignment, you get a diffused light. It's just nothing in particular. But if you line the lenses up, you can get a laser. And now your light really can shine through with power and the laser is your intention, your life force, what you want to be, do, and have. And then that comes into great focus. The more lenses in place, the more in alignment, the greater the focus, the greater the power to be, do, and have what you want. Can you pick up the coffee cup, move it across to the other hand, and set it down? Because if you can, in anywhere in your life, then you're in alignment. But if you decide you want to pick up the coffee cup, move it over here, you go, no, I don't think so. Then it's like, oh, we found something. And that's the way people can look. They can say, in the areas of my life, whether it's money, finances, love and romance, or physical health, whatever, all different areas, relationships, family, blah, blah, blah. It's like, am I able to pick up the coffee cup and move it? Am I experiencing it in a calm, present, healthy way? Or is there some friction there? And if there's friction, it's like, oh, we're out of alignment. That's all. Just out of alignment. And it takes the judgment away too, because our society loves to judge good, evil, black, white, blah, 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 all this judgment. And in fact, it's just about rearranging the pieces. You already have all the wholeness inside. Over and over again, that's what we see. Over and over again.
Yes. Right. Yeah. And helping people see that they're not broken, see that they have the pieces, and it's just remembering them or finding them again. And then, can we enjoy that process? Can we enjoy being curious again? Can we enjoy finding things? I just thought of this, Jonathan. It's like, I never did this intentionally, but I thought that would be a fun game to play intentionally. When I have randomly found like a $10 bill or a $20 bill in the winter coat, and you find it next season, it can be fun to find things that, frankly, you hit on yourself. Like, just if we could change the way we see that, change the way we see change the way we see transitions and life shifts to I've got all the pieces, and now I get to put it all together in a new way, have a fun ride, and frankly, let's just enjoy life.
Right. Well, so this is what I call the IKEA moment. The beauty of IKEA is that they give you little plastic bags with all the stuff you need and the instruction guide. However, sometimes the instruction guides are a little difficult. You really have to work with them sometimes. But it's like you get all the tools. And part of why I create Life Success Tools, and I think part of why you've done what you're doing, is because you've found these tools in life. You've stumbled upon them. You didn't just wake up, fresh as a 1-year-old in a diaper and go, I have all the tools. It's like, no, you have to go find them. This is like a big scavenger hunt. And part of the benefit of having a coach and a guide with experience like you is that you've gone through the scavenger hunt. You know where all the stuff is hidden. We have all these tools. We have all these capacities. We have this ability to change, transform, grow, release great-granduncle Jimmy's stuff in the box, right? Clean the box out and throw it out. So we have the capacity to do that. We just didn't know it. And that's why, as you said, we're in a time now where we didn't even know we had these capacities. We didn't even know we had these tools. We thought we were broken because we were told we were broken because that was the only reference guide they had. Bed broken. No, bed have tools and IKEA parts. We can put it all back together again.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So I'm excited. This is a wonderful time. To me, this is a wonderful time to be alive.
Yes. What I would say, Ken Wilber says this. Ken Wilber, for those of you who don't know him, he's a philosopher and a psychologist and a really cool guy. And what he says is this: as you grow and develop, it gets easier to go through it, and things still hurt, things still make you upset, things still make you worried, And it doesn't bother you as much because you know, oh, I just got my shoes dirty. I'm going to go take them off and clean them. We don't have to get upset about it. We can just clean the shoes, right? Oh, the milk spilled. Oh, I'll just clean up the milk. Oh, I wanted to move the cup over and I went, okay, let's find out what that's about. And you just go forward and deal with it. Things become so much easier because you're empowering people by taking them through the process. They're the ones doing the work. They're the ones doing the work.
Walking through the doorway, I can only help them find the doorway. But yeah, they walk through, and then the tools that we help people find, they're theirs.
Yeah, right. They have them for life.
They have them for life. Nobody will ever take them away again. They will, more importantly, never give them away again, because now they feel they understood the process. And yeah, it feels to me, see, this is where I get so excited, Jonathan, and it just feels magical. And I'm so honored and blessed to be able to be a part of people's journeys, for those who like the idea of what I've suggested here. And, you know, Jonathan, what you've suggested, for those people that this resonates with, here's two people who can at least help to get the ball rolling, because it does get easier and easier and easier. It really does.
Yes, absolutely 100%. And I think in this wonderful, wild, wacky world we're all experiencing right now, what a great way to start from the inside to make sense of your world so that you can go out into the world and help other people make sense of their world. And that's just an absolutely beautiful thing. It becomes a game. It becomes playful, right? At the end of the day, it becomes super playful and enjoyable and kind of fun, you know? I think let's take it. Well, hi, Morris. We're taking a little break here for a sip of water and then discussion. Do you want to wrap? Is there something else you'd like to cover? Is that how you feeling?
I'm feeling good, and I wonder if that's why I went to like a really high place, was because that felt, I feel good. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I can talk to you all day. More coffee, please. Yeah. So do you want to wrap with the idea of something that do you have something you're promoting, like a webinar, or do you have something you want to talk about, like you're doing, or do you want to just tell them to like subscribe to your channel and leave comments below? What would you like to do?
Yeah. I think based on what I've been learning in the last few weeks through if what I said resonated with them, then they can get to know me more by following me on my channels, which will be down in the description. Yeah,
You want to say that?
I'll say something like that.
Okay, so I'll lead us in. So this has been so wonderful. I'm very thankful that you've come to share all this information with us and to have so many cool parts of the conversation. We have to do this again. This is part 2, actually. And I can see just a whole series of these going off into the future. So we'll have a lot of fun. Where can people find you?
So can we restart that? Because somehow something broke through. Amazing.
Okay. What happened?
All of a sudden a screen popped up. So I don't know what you saw on your end, but all of a sudden something overrode on my end. So would you mind just, sorry.
Machine, yeah. Okay.
Or if all of that looked good on your end and you didn't see a glitch on my end, then I can just start with my piece.
I don't know what happened, and it may be on the recording. I may not see it, but it may be on recording, because Riverside actually records on both sets and then uploads it. Okay. So
it was just ringing through, and I don't even know what it was ringing through. I don't even know what program it was. I was just like, close this window. How are you even getting through? So, okay. So would you mind redoing that again?
No. Hi, Morris. We appreciate you so.
Bigger cut, please.
Quick cut. Okay. All right. So this has been so wonderful. I really want to thank you for hanging out. I know this is our second time. I can see a whole series of these going out into the future. And why don't we leave everyone who's watching us now with how can they find you, your socials, anything else you'd like to direct them to? Because just wonderful to hang out with you.
Thank you. Yeah, this has been just a joy. Thank you, Jonathan. So if anyone wants to just get to know me more and what I offer, my more about this recode process that I mentioned, my style of coaching where I bring internal parts together. If any of who I am and what I do resonates, then I'll give you all my socials, Jonathan, all my handles and such. Would you mind just throwing them in the description for me? People can find them down below.
Yep, that sounds perfect. And if you've got any questions for Sabine or comments about what we said today or thoughts or insights, or you were inspired in any way, please put it down below in the comments, share with a friend, give us a like if you liked it, and subscribe, of course. And thanks very much, and we'll see you all again very soon.